All right, guys, pretty early here, but first things first, let's go get this thing charged. You can see we're currently sitting at 57 miles of range on the battery. Closest fast charger is about 20 miles away, so we're gonna head over there and get to it.
Affirmative alternative vision of our TXGARAGE in the United States of America. Not that long later, to his house. Spends lots of time. I looked into it, and at the time they said his account is active. Yes, it was in 2022. The FBI quietly declassifies doubts on 9/11 that want accountability in history. That's how it's been done. For most of human history, before 1776, in the old world, the vision was 1776. It said, no. That's on Park Avenue in Manhattan, wherever it is. It's the power. And let's not, when somebody thinks of as evil, who's committing evil.
All right, so first off, the EQB is in the EQ lineup of Mercedes vehicles. That lineup is supposed to consist of up to 10 different vehicles. We're currently at 5 different vehicles, and I have already driven 2 of them, including the EQE and EQS sedans. This will be the first EQ SUV that I've driven, and it is offered in both a 5-passenger and 7-passenger configuration.
In a quarter of a mile.
All right, we're at about 30 minutes of charging. We're up to 16% charge again. That's about 41 miles of range, so we haven't even recovered the amounts of battery that we used to get over here to the charger. Fast chargers weren't working, go figure, on a very slow charger. But I can't wait all day for this thing to charge. We got to get to the review. So let me get back to an area where I can actually shoot this review, and we'll get going. So the EQB is offered in 3 different flavors. You have the EQB 300 and the EQB 350. Both of those are 4MATIC all-wheel drive vehicles. And then you have this, the all-new EQB 250 Plus, which is the extended range version of the EQB. It is a single motor front wheel drive. It's offered in both a 5-passenger and 7-passenger configuration. This one here is the 5-passenger. On top of those options, you have some trims, including a premium trim, an exclusive trim, and a pinnacle trim. This one has that exclusive package on it. So it's the EQB 250 Plus exclusive. Let's talk about the exterior. So this all-electric crossover SUV is based on Mercedes GLB, which is kind of their entry level into SUVs and crossovers. And we have reviewed the GLB also, which is a vehicle I did like. And while this is based on the same vehicle, I'm not sure if it's my memory serving me bad, but this does feel a little more squatty than that vehicle. It is on the smaller side of crossovers. Our paint color here is the Night Black, which is a standard paint color for this. The EQB is shaped by its mission, advancing elegance, efficiency, and enjoyment of the road. We have EQ specific LED headlamps, full width front and rear LED lighting accents, full LED taillights. We do have raised aluminum roof rails that are raised over the panoramic sunroof that we get here. We also have body color side mirrors with integrated turn signals, and those side mirrors do fold on lock, which is always a great option. We have hands-free access with keyless entry, but no remote start on this one. Those wheels are 18-inch 5-spoke alloy wheels, and for an EV, they look pretty decent. Obviously, they're focused on airflow performance over performance looks. And around the back, you can see the EQB badge with the 250 Plus, and of course that Mercedes logo that doubles as a hatch pop, and your rear view camera is hidden underneath there. We'll come back to the hatch in just a second, but first let's talk about the full size and dimensions of the EQB. All right, and as you see, definitely a crossover look, a bit short, a bit squatty. Your full length of this is 184.4 inches. The wheelbase is 111.3 inches. Total width is 79.6 inches, and your total height is 65.6 inches. All right, with that, let's check out the hatch. Like I said, it is a power lifting hatch with just a push of the Mercedes emblem right there. Very common for Mercedes vehicles, and it's a pretty good amount of space. Again, we have the 5-passenger configuration, so we don't have a third row back here. Based on driving the GLB that did have a third row, that third row is almost pointless, so I couldn't imagine it being much better here. But with the 2-row, you do get a good amount of cargo volume. You're talking 10.7 cubic feet of cargo volume behind that second row. It can be folded down and will offer up 61.8 cubic feet of total cargo volume. There's a little tray back here you can lift up. You got your charger hidden away back here, first aid kit and things like that. Have a little tonneau cover. But other than that, not much going on back here. Let's go ahead and talk about the motor, the efficiency, what powers this thing. All right, and obviously we don't have a engine under the hood to look at. You do have a hood that can pop here. Unfortunately, there's no frunk area. This is a front-oriented single motor, so this whole area is taken up by that electric motor and all the goodies under the hood, even though there's not a gasoline motor in there. So your only cargo volume is that hatch. But we do have our charging port to look at. It is your standard charging port, same that comes on all the EQ models. Works with Electrify America and all those standard chargers. All of them come with a 70.5 kilowatt hour battery. This one, the EQB 250 Plus, again has one motor that pushes 188 horsepower, has a range of 245 miles, and can do 0 to 60 in 8 seconds. It's by no means a slow car, but definitely not as quick as a lot of electric vehicles that I've driven. We'll talk more about that as we drive the vehicle though. If you update to the EQB 300, you're talking about the 4MATIC dual motor, same 70.5 kilowatt hour battery, 225 horsepower now, a range that drops down to 232 miles. So you're talking about 13-mile difference in range, and you gain a second on your 0 to 60, making it 7 seconds. Opting for the EQB 350 4MATIC, same battery, 288 horsepower now, with only 221 miles of range, in a 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. So if you're buying this for a speedy, sporty vehicle, it's probably not going to deliver that. 6 seconds is pretty quick, but in the EV mindset, it might not be. And you're sacrificing quite a bit of range to get that quicker 0 to 60. Of course, the 4MATIC all-wheel drive doesn't just help with adding extra horsepower and speed. It's about agility and keeping this thing grounded on slick surfaces. So if you live more up north and you're dealing with ice, or you're dealing with loose gravel a lot, even here in Texas, it could be worth it to get the 4MATIC. During my time with it this week, I had no reason to have 4MATIC. The 250 with the single motor worked just fine. Charging wise, with the DC charger at 350 kilowatts, you're looking at a 10% to 80% charge time of just 32 minutes. Unfortunately, we didn't get to test that out because the chargers weren't working. An AC charge on a house type plug, you're looking from 10% to 100% in 7.75 hours. So almost a full 8-hour charge to get up to 100%. Again, I haven't tested that out, but looks like I'll probably have to be plugging this thing in to the house to get it to charge for when they come pick it up from me. But we'll dive a little bit more into what I think about the charging and stuff like that as we wrap this up. But before we can do that, I want to show you guys the interior, and we'll have to take it for a drive, and then we'll get to some of my final thoughts. All right, yeah, it's hot. One of the things that sucks about doing car reviews in Texas in the summer. Anyways, we're in the back seats now, and I'm a 6'1", bigger guy. I have plenty of foot room, plenty of knee room. I didn't adjust the position of the seat from where the passenger puts it. I've got plenty of headroom. You've got the panoramic sunroof that reaches back here, little grab handle. It's a nice place to be. We've got a pull down armrest here. Cup holders pop out. You also have two USB Type-C charging ports down here in a cubby, as well as a house type plug, 115 volt. We've got our own AC vents. At the end of the day, not a bad place to be at all, even as a bigger adult. Kids fit back here just fine, 3 wide. It's a mostly flat floor, so they didn't have to worry about the middle seat getting screwed over on foot room. But again, I have driven the GLB with the 3rd row. It was pretty bad. Kids didn't like that one, but this as a 5-passenger crossover, no issues. Let's jump into the driver's seat, kick this thing on and get some AC going, and we'll keep this thing progressing. All right, let's not make a big fuss about it. Let's kick it on so we can get the AC running first. All right, the first thing we can touch on the interior is this black MB Tex material. It's not leather, it's a fake leather. It's all black. We do have a wood grain type trim with a brushed aluminum look over here as well. This trimming looks really good. You do have piano black, gloss black that can attract fingerprints, but the rest of it looks really good. But the seats themselves are decent. Maybe not what you were expecting for a Mercedes, but this is the baseline of the Mercedes. A bit better than something like the Metris, but on par with the GLB, obviously, but definitely not as nice as something like the E-Class or S-Class, obviously. That being said, they are heated seats and memory seats. We do have the dual 10.25-inch displays. One is a touchscreen, one is not. We do have the MBUX infotainment system, which looks really good and is easy to operate. And it does come with navigation in this exclusive trim, which is good, especially when finding a charger. You can just pull it up and see the list of chargers around you, how far they are to get to. But unfortunately, a lot of this information isn't always exactly accurate. As you saw, we took an excursion out 20 miles away to hit a fast charger that wasn't working, which is why I am in the parking lot getting some juice right now, very slowly. Some might say at a turtle's pace. The driver information display is nice and large, fully digital. Exactly the same that we get on pretty much all Mercedes that I've driven recently. You can use the touch pads on the steering wheel to flip through different information here, even different tacks, which is really nice. We do have dynamic drive modes that can be toggled down here. So you have an eco mode, comfort mode, sport mode, or individual mode. Unlike other Mercedes, changing those modes doesn't automatically change your driver information display. Below the AC vents is an array of buttons for your AC and heat controls. Down further is a bit of a cubby. I would assume on some trims this might be a wireless charger. This one it is not. We do have a USB-C charging port here, as well as an accessory charger. Cup holders. We have our touchpad for interfacing with the infotainment screen, a quick button for our parking camera, a quick access button for favorited features, another favorites button for different things, a telephone button, radio button, nav button, and your volume control. Our little wrist pad here. Nice, decently soft armrest. Big cubby, big enough to hold this camera for what that's worth. We do have the standard Mercedes steering wheel with your little thumb controls on either side. This side for audio and messing with this screen, this side for driver features and messing with that screen. So first thing to consider here is the quietness of this. Obviously it is an EV, but you don't get a lot of road noise. They definitely took the time to give it some soundproofing, which not all EVs are getting because they don't want to sacrifice the extra weight. Understandable, but it is nice to be in an EV that feels like it's really good quality, and road noise definitely kills that. It's plenty peppy. We do only have the single motor. We don't have the extra horsepower out of the 350, but I don't think that we need it. This thing does just fine. You can get up and go on the highway. You can overtake people where you need to. No issues with power or speed. We do have the dynamic select modes that I've already showed you. Again, I've kept it in eco pretty much the entire week. Putting it in sport does waking up that engine a bit more, gives it a little bit more pep, but again, I don't think you really need it, and you are sacrificing battery for doing so. We do have the driver assist package on this EQB 250 Plus. That gives us things like active distance assist, active steering assist, invasive steering assist, active brake assist with cross traffic, and blind spot monitoring. So you can get this thing up on a highway, put it in cruise control, have your radar guided cruise control that'll keep you behind the car in front of you, have your lane keeping assist on that will keep you in the lanes. It will steer for you. It all works really well up on a highway. My only issue with it is on normal streets. If you've got it on, even if you're not using the cruise control, if you venture outside the lane a bit, instead of just trying to correct you, it will slam on the brakes, which is a horrible experience. Probably not just for you, but the people behind you. And every time it did it to me, it's not like it was trying to save me from going off the road. It was just a windy road that you just barely go over the stripe. I don't like it. My other slight gripe is the regenerative braking. It is pretty harsh, and I couldn't find any setting to change how harsh it is. There might be a way to do it, but as soon as you let off the accelerator, you do start braking pretty aggressively, which for regenerating the battery and having the most efficiency, completely understand. But another really horrible driving experience until you really get used to it. If you've seen any of my other EV reviews, it's definitely something I've harped on before, even on other vehicles. I rather have the one pedal paddle that you can use the paddle for regenerative braking if need, over it automatically doing it when you let off the accelerator. Other than those small things, it is a really good driving experience. It's a good size vehicle. I fit just fine. I can touch everything just fine. I can navigate all of the menus and controls just fine as a driver. You don't get distracted by things like that as you're driving. And all in all, I had no issues with the driving experience, as one might assume. With that, we're gonna pull over and talk about the price, and then I'll give you some of my final thoughts and we'll wrap this thing up. All right, guys, so it's been one of those days doing the review. Super hot out here, a little frustrated about the charging situation already, but we're not taking that out on the vehicle itself. It's a good vehicle. We'll talk more about that. So let's talk about the price and we'll start wrapping this thing up. The EQB 250 Plus, which we're in now, has a base price of $52,750. Our MSRP on this one is $60,410, which just has a few options like the driver assist package. It's mostly stock. The top of the line EQB 350 has a base price of $60,000. I'm pretty sure that can go up into the 70s pretty easily. But as it goes, for sitting in a Mercedes-Benz vehicle that's a full EV, $52,000 base price, $60,000 MSRP, not bad, especially considering something like the Kia EV6 GT that we drove was well over $60,000. Of course, not a direct competitor to this, but I think that makes this a really good price, especially for the size. All right, let's jump out and I'll tell you some of my final thoughts. All right, guys, it's been a bit of a long day, as you can probably tell. Fortunately, all of my issues with charging and things like that don't take away from the EQB. It's more of a larger conversation about EVs in general. Which I would like to have, and probably will put out a video on our second channel of just a rant, because the last couple of EVs that I've driven I've had a lot of issues getting them charged. Some of that has to do with the area that I'm in. Some of that has to do with the vehicle themselves. Some of that has to do with the chargers and how they're maintained. But again, I'm not gonna let that spoil the review of the EQB. It's been a good crossover. Again, one of the first full EV crossovers that I've driven. They have been a good size. So if you're looking for an EV and you want a crossover that's not terribly expensive, the EQB is a good option. And of course you get that Mercedes badge. Although there's not a ton inside that screams Mercedes. It's decent. It has a decent interior. You do get the Mercedes infotainment system and stuff like that. You've got the dual screens, but you definitely don't get the luxury of the E-Class or the S-Class for sure. But again, much cheaper. And I think this one, the 250 Plus, is a phenomenal entry price and entry-level EV. So again, if those are all things that you're looking for out of your next purchase, great option. With that, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the EQB, especially this one, the 250 Plus. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We do a different review every week and a bunch of EVs at that. Also go check out TXGARAGE.com, where we do a lot of written reviews as well as event and news coverage over there from a lot of great authors, not just myself. But with that, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching.